Well, good morning, everyone. That was Mob Deep with The Survival of the Fittest, the song that we have every week when we're doing these sessions, even though the world is, with troubled times around the world, we still have this session Friday morning, 8 o'clock Swedish time, Central European time, and you're most welcome, all of you. I hope you will participate by watching and listening, but also by posting your questions through the chat forum. My name is Johan Wester. I will be your moderator, your host, and I will do this for, about an hour, but I won't be here on myself because I have lovely people joining in. And let's start with Joachim Samuelsson, the CEO of Crunchfish, the Crunchfish Group. Good morning, Joachim.
Good morning, Johan.
Good morning. Today I'm in, normally I'm in Lund in southern Sweden. Well, I'm still in southern part of Sweden, but I'm in Blekinge. Have you been in Blekinge?
Yes, I think yes. I know the island you're on, and I've even been there for 6 weeks, sort of in 1995. So I know everything of that's a small island.
Oh yes, that's a small Asper. It's my summer house is here. So just for a couple of days, but still I keep the contact with the Crunchfish and this Friday morning session. So it's good to have you with us as always. Joachim, just tell me, we have this special event today. It will be about investor relations. Why do we have that theme?
Well, our investors are very important to us, and I think it's we decided to sort of tell the world a little bit how we do investor relations. Normally, these webinars are directed to our potential customers, and I think it's great that investors can also join in. They know a lot about Crunchfish, not too much about banking maybe, but they can follow because they know a lot about sort of what we do as Crunchfish. The bankers that we approach know nothing about Crunchfish when we have the intro meeting, but they know a lot about their field. So I think the level of presentation we can do here at the webinars fits actually both groups very well. Yeah. Today, the focus is on our investor relations, and I think it's going to be really nice.
Yes, and so we have this format every fourth week. We have this investor perspective, Crunchfish perspective.
No. We have a Crunchfish perspective, but not necessarily investor perspective. So I think this one particularly, I think a lot of the every fourth week there is a Crunchfish perspective, and I think they are. I guess you're right that they are a little bit more suited towards investors than maybe our customers, because the other three are on. Two on digital cash and on gesture is very customer oriented, but whereas the Crunchfish one are slightly broader. But this one in particular, now the whole focus is on our relations with our investors today, which is kind of fun.
Yes, so that's the theme for today, and you will of course we will be happy if you join in with the questions and perspectives through the chat forum. And then of course we start with a presentation, and then we'll have a panel discussion, and at the end we will go through all the questions if there are any. So that's what we're aiming for. And now it's time for me to introduce our presenter. It's Erik Berggren, IR Manager, Crunchfish. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Johan.
Is it a good day?
I'd say if you have a macro perspective on it, I'd say that it's terrible times.
Yes.
But on a personal note, you handing me the stage in a few minutes, I couldn't be happier.
Okay, well, I'm glad you took both perspectives. Otherwise, it would be a bit tricky. So thanks for that. Just tell me, IR manager, what the hell is that? Sorry for that question, but I don't really get it from that.
Yeah, so typically when you work in a listed environment, you need a contact person working directly with the shareholders, and apart from that, also ensuring that the company is following the rules of a listed company. And those are the rules I will get back to in my presentation. But investor relations is all about it's about service to the shareholders, and it's about ensuring that the company is proceeding in line with rules.
Yeah, and a normal Wednesday, how does that look?
At Crunchfish, I would say a normal Wednesday would be working with a lot of press releases. That would be the one of the major topics. And apart from that, at the moment, our normal Wednesday, that would also imply planning for the annual report, which will be published in let's say in a few weeks or a month or two. And apart from that, also planning for these webinars along with Joachim and the Crunchfish team.
Great. So you will give us your presentation, and I will follow with the questions, and then we'll invite the third panel member. But after your presentation, so the stage is yours.
All right, thank you. So Joachim, will you do the honors of sharing the screen as we?
Yes, I will, Eric. Let me see. There must be this one here.
All right, so I think that we are live with the presentation now, right? Excellent. So I wanted to start this presentation by talking about Crunchfish core values, because I think they very much reflect not only on investor relations, but in everything we do. So the current core values of Crunchfish are creative, curious, and caring. And I think that if you go back a little, we had open, playful, and passionate as core values, and I think the archetype was explorer. But with curious, caring, and creative, I think it reflects how we work and how we interact with each other. And I think when you go into, if you look at Crunchfish as an organization for the past few years, you can see clearly that you have a very low employee turnover. And I think the last word, caring, is a very big reason for that, because I think it's very clear if you come to the Crunchfish office that you will see that we are very curious about new technologies and how we can apply them to Crunchfish, and we're creative in being adaptive to change. You know, with Charles Darwin as the survival of the fittest theme, I think you can see that we're very creative. And how do you apply those core values to Crunchfish and our investor relations activities? Well, we're quite curious about our shareholders' opinions on our operations, and I tend to follow closely. We had a Crunchfish party in November where I spent most of my evening walking around talking to shareholders, just hearing what they thought about Crunchfish and our operations. And creative, well, I think we're quite creative in how we interact with the markets. We don't only do what we need to do, we actually also make great other things to interact with our shareholders. And finally, we're very caring about the shareholders' interests, and we listen to our shareholders. For instance, the Mob Deep song, which is its intro, was a suggestion from a shareholder. That's just a little curiosa. So I'll go through a few slides now, and I really want the interaction with the crowd today, because the focus is on all our shareholders today. So let's go into the next slide. So on the needs I have, well, what are we obliged to do? First of all, we're obliged to follow applicable legislations, and of course, Nasdaq First North regulations. There's something called MAR, or EU Market Abuse Regulation, and that's something that hits, or that affects, all listed companies. And in essence, it is a framework for how listed companies are obliged to communicate to the markets, and we're obliged to disclose information that is likely to have an impact, or impact the value of financial instruments, in essence, Crunchfish share and warrants. So if information occurs that would have an impact on the share price, we're obliged to disclose it to the market as soon as possible. We cannot plan for when to disclose information. We are obliged to publish it as soon as possible. Apart from that, being a Swedish public company, we follow the Swedish Companies Act, and we follow the Nasdaq First North rulebook. and being a company listed on First North, we have a certified advisor. I'm sure you will meet our panelist Björn Andersson later today. He's our police officer that works as a certified advisor. And the certified advisor, they are a right hand to the stock exchange, Nasdaq, and ensuring that when Crunchfish share is moving, ensuring that there are no insider events. That is the reason for it, that you have a leakage of information or such. And they also are reviewing all the information to the market afterwards once we've disclosed it, to ensure that it is in line with the regulations. Apart from that, being a listed company, you have financial reports that you need to disclose. In Crunchfish case, we disclose 4 interim reports each year. And then, of course, the annual report, which is presented to be approved, the disposition of results on the annual general meeting. And the annual general meeting, it works as the governing body of Crunchfish. That's actually, an annual general meeting is the shareholders' opportunities to decide upon the company. It's the governing body of Crunchfish. So those are the regulations that we rely upon and how Crunchfish works. But apart from that, we do a lot of great things. So let's go into the next slide. Thank you. So great to have. Well, what else are we doing as a listed company? Well, first of all, we have something called a commissioned analysis, which where you met Alf Ripple a few weeks back. So the commissioned analysis, well, it helps the market understand Crunchfish, and it gives us an institutional perspective where the Alf Ripple, along with his team, is making a so-called discounted cash flow based valuation of Crunchfish, where you look at the market opportunities and when it will generate cash flow, and then you discount for risk. That being said, how likely it is that it will occur, and then you will have a discounted fair value of Crunchfish. And apart from that, I think you've seen that we annually have been doing interviews with Finwire, and on a personal note, I really like Finwire's video interviews that they make in a relaxed environment where companies are allowed to present the business in a relaxed environment. I think they're very great, and we also have made Finwire release our news in Swedish to help our shareholders not native in English to follow our news, because Crunchfish is disclosing information solely in English to the market. And I think also the whole survival of the fittest series is a great example of how we are interacting with the market, not only due to what we're obliged to do, but also what we think is great to do. And the webinars, they are directed to customers, but as Joachim said earlier, these events are also a great opportunity for shareholders to interact with us. And I think I look forward to see the dialogue later on. And finally, I follow the Discord group. I follow the Facebook group. I'm really eager to see the discussions, and I think those are the mains of what we do. That is great to have, but not need to have. And I'm sure we will come up with a lot of other things the coming weeks, months, and years, because I think the investor relations is a living topic where you can always improve. So on the open forum later, I'm very open to hear your thoughts on how we could improve on our investor relations activities. Finally, I'd like to end up with a few why invest, because I think there's potentially some interested parties that may not be shareholders of Crunchfish today, but could be tomorrow or in 45 minutes when the stock exchange opens. So I think reasons to invest in Crunchfish. Well, we have not only one, but we have two solid technology platforms, both with great scalability. And we work in business segments where we have a first mover advantage. With Crunchfish as an investment, we have an extremely high reward, but as always in growth opportunities, there is always high risk. And what Crunchfish has been very good at ever since the start is growing a patent portfolio. And we have now a very great patent portfolio, which is growing. And with that comes an underlying value. Looking at the management, you have a great track record, both in business, mergers and acquisitions, and in the growth opportunities. And the management, along with the board, is very dedicated with our largest shareholders together, almost holding close to 50% of all the shares. So I would say as an ending point, we are in this together. That would be my presentation. I'm very much looking forward to open up the floor now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Eric. I'm just thinking about values, since you mentioned it many times. Value words, is that a word in English? Do I say value words?
Core values, I would say.
Core values, okay, core values. Are they really important for investors? Well, couldn't be, or do they really, well, look at them and could they be an argument for investing?
I would say that if you look at Crunchfish, they are really important to us, and they are vital in everything we do. So if you are interested in investing in Crunchfish, you're actually investing in our core values. So in that sense, yes, they are important because they will be leading you in how we decide upon things.
Okay, great.
Joachim, would you like to? Yeah. Would you like to add?
He will soon be able to do that because I will now enter the panel section. So thank you for the starting this presentation, Eric. We have Joachim, of course, with us, but also the man recently called the police officer, Björn Andersson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, now you were called police officer. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's not that static, but you could say that the certified advisor is the link between Nasdaq and the company. Yeah, so we do monitor, but we are also there as a speaking partner for the company in how to oblige to the rules.
Your title, the one I found, partner analyst at Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance. Is that right?
Yeah, so Västra Hamnen is also working with rights issues and IPOs, but we also have the certified advisor service. Since we are working a lot with companies on First North, we need to have that service as well.
So then your connection to Crunchfish, if you, in your words, what do you do?
We have known Crunchfish since the beginning, I guess. We at Västra Hamnen did take care of the IPO in 2016, was it perhaps? So we have followed the company throughout all the years.
Yeah, and do you think core values are important?
It is in every aspect, of course.
But doesn't it just become words?
Sometimes, but I guess that Crunchfish is at least the curiosity and the caring. They do talk a lot with their shareholders.
Yeah. But it's problem with the creative part, I realize. Okay, I realize that. so let's go to Joachim then. Okay, let's talk about the value word, because the core values, because I think it's quite interesting. Where did they come from? Tell us the story.
Yes, as Eric said, we used to actually have open, and this is sort of an example of that we're very open and transparent. We had playful. We love to have fun and play and passionate. But so we I think it was 2 years ago we worked through it again, and it came after some we had a whole team actually. Everybody in the company participating in a big workshop, and it was the company, a PR firm that worked with us that came, they actually coined it. They felt this is what we think. And I like the alliteration in it, sort of that CCC, curious, creative, caring. It's easy to remember. And I think it captures in a really quite nice way. We are very, Eric talked about that. The archetype explorer is all about being curious about the world, and you want to explore, and you're curious about people and the world, really. And creative has always been to the heart of what we are, really, even if you want to trash it, Johan, before. But
No.
I'm sorry, Johan. I know.
It was Björn. He just mentioned the other two.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. Björn forgot it.
The police officer. The police officer.
Yeah. No, blame it on Björn. No, but creative is. I think we pride ourselves to be very creative, and it's an extremely important thing. But also the caring. We had an archetype before, which is not an official archetype, but we had family. We talked about family before, and I think that goes with caring a little bit. At Crunchfish, we take care of each other on a very sort of deep way. That everybody knows here that their life is more important than sort of Crunchfish. We really value. There's always things that you can have a crisis at home or whatever, and that always goes first. Always. And if you treat people that way, you're also getting a lot of love and respect and loyalty back, because they know when the company needs help, if they have slack in their lives, they will be there. And that goes not just with the people of Crunchfish. Björn is he's a very humble man, our policeman, but Björn he's the one who have done all the material for the IPO and also some of our investment rounds. So Björn has been extremely important to us, and he's also part of our family. Björn is always there for us if we need him. So he's part of the family.
But what about the core values when it comes to ordinary work? How do they affect the business on a normal day? Eric?
But you live them, as Eric said, you live them every day. I think there is moments of truth every day when things come up all the time, and you demonstrate caring every day. Being creative is core to us, and you demonstrate that by, all right, how should we solve this problem? And let's do it in a way that was a bit unexpected. The fact that you are here, Johan, I think that's a bit unexpected. I love that you're here, Johan, but sort of that's a creative move, and I think I love how you just popped in 4 weeks ago into our webinar, and that just shows it. And
I do really. I think I belong to a place where you call curious, creative, and caring. So it's so I feel for them as well.
Yeah, and if I may add a story. You asked what's in the daily operations. Well, in Crunchfish, we have quite a few chess players who are eager to play on the lunch breaks. And myself, when I joined Crunchfish back in 2019, I hadn't played chess for quite some time. So I was really curious about it, giving it a go. And I have to give some credits to both Thomas and Paul in Crunchfish. They are tremendously good chess players. But they've always been very caring once they've beaten me, because they've always given me a little bump on the shoulder saying, well played. I think I played, let's say, plus 100 games, and I have not won once. So, so caring, well, they let me play despite me being not as good as they are.
And I realized chess is another C, so you can bring that in to the other three. Okay, but so when it comes to normal decision making and for your employees, actions during a day, do you have these words when it comes to decision making?
No, it permeates everything. This is you can't just, as you said, Johan. I think it's quite easy that core values becomes just words, but it's something we live the values, and then become important. It's part of our DNA. And then it becomes quite important. As Eric said, it directs how we are thinking. It directs how we act. It directs and having values. Why is it important? Well, it's important because you don't have to have too many rules then, because you know that you are sort of these things you put them very high. So you know that you should go out of your out of your comfort zone if you have to care for someone. It's okay. We do that, and we live that. That governs how we behave. That's why.
So even though if you know the company very well, Björn, you're in many ways on the outside. Just tell us from your perspective, what are the uniqueness when it comes to Crunchfish? What are their aces up their sleeves?
What aces? I don't know if I'm the man to answer that, but what I have seen, some companies don't speak at all to the shareholders. Crunchfish, on the other hand, speaks a lot with the shareholders. So I guess that's something that differs them from many others. And they also do these seminars. They have the commission analysis, etc. So they are really trying to put a light on the company.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And if you, of course, as I said early on, if you have any questions, please post them in this chat sector. Meanwhile, I will continue with questions. I'll think about your portfolio. You have digital cash and gesture management. Are they equally important, or is one the main star, Joachim?
I would say that I think they are equally important. However, the market potential of digital cash is by order of magnitude much bigger with digital cash. But we like the fact that we are in two very, very interesting industries, digital payments and computer vision. Very dynamic businesses, and we are solving really hard problems, and fantastic people working on each side, and we're about the same size of both areas. And we're gonna have this breakfast that that's the only thing you can't miss that, Johan. At 9 o'clock we have breakfast, and we always tell internally what's going on, and both areas get sort of we tell the sort of the good stories from both sides, and it's so we treat it very, very the same. But then it just happens that the digital cash opportunity is just humongous, and for that reason it has taken a little bit since I came in, and that's why I stepped in as a CEO, to be honest. Joachim Nydemark, a great guy, worked all the time as a CEO for the gesture side, but then when we saw 2 years ago that digital cash is gonna be huge, then I said to Joachim, then it's better that let's swap. I always been in a way his boss because I was the chairman and he was the CEO, but now I said, well, let's just bring in Göran Linder from Midrock, or from now as they call Granitor. Let's bring him instead, and I'll take over as operational CEO. You still do gesture, and Joachim has stepped up as our COO, and I'm extremely happy that he stayed on. But we are treating the two things. We have two subsidiaries: Patrick Lindeberg running digital cash, and we have Joachim running gesture, and I'm trying to be a leader for both, but I work a lot on the digital cash side personally.
But do you prefer that we look at them as just two different portfolio companies, or do they cross-fertilize each other in
they are
many ways?
I think mainly to 90% they are two different sort of businesses, but as we've there are sort of some linkages. I think there are sort of some in terms of product. We talked about that, at the fact that we got a patent on the gesture side that you could do authorization using a smart way of with your hand gestures, making a PIN code entry, which is going to be very important. Everything you have to authorize in terms of payment. So, but what we've made, as we put in our year-end report, that we've actually bought ourselves that right. So we paid Joachim. I asked Patrick and Joachim, you have to fight it out, but Patrick, you need to buy something from Joachim, and we did. It doesn't show anything externally, but it's I think it's important, that cross-fertilization. But also, otherwise, there are also some sort of commonalities. Both areas are in its 5th generation. Both have come now to be having platforms, which creates us opportunity of being extremely flexible in the market. Not only because we are creative and always developing in a good way, but the platform itself whatever the customer throws us as, this could be a full gesture, whatever problem they throw, we can always train our computer vision algorithms to solve that. But also whatever sort of aspect of digital payments that our payment services or banks are throwing at us, we have in our platform solutions for how to do that. So with the platform now, we're extremely strong on both sides, which I am extremely proud of. So what we did in 2021, which is the theme sort of, I think we took ourselves from products to platforms, and you know, this is going to scale when the shit hits the fan, or whatever you say. This is going to go fast.
Yeah, and from an investor perspective, are they interested in both parts, or what can you say about that, Eric?
I think there is interest in both parts. I think a lot of
no, it's time for Eric and Björn.
Yeah, sorry. I'll be quiet now, Johan.
Yeah, please.
Well, I would say that you know, Crunchfish was listed back in 2016. I think it was in the autumn 2016, and back then it was the business was the gesture interaction, and then the digital cash. We've grown our investor base with the two segments, and I'd say that what we have is a very dedicated shareholder base where our shareholders see great potential in both areas. It's a little dependent on when you became a shareholder, what was your main interest in Crunchfish when you invested. But we have a very dedicated shareholder base where I'd say that the vast majority of our shareholders see great potential in both business areas. And that's the same way, that's precisely like ourselves. We see very great potential in both our areas, and it's just a matter of when it's gonna take off, as Joachim said.
No, he said shit hits the fan. That's what he said.
I know.
Okay, Björn, what's your perspective on this?
Well, it's two interesting areas, I guess. I guess that throughout the years, when we started, as Eric said, when we helped at Västerhamn and helped Crunchfish with the IPO, it was only the gesture part. But then the digital cash has grown into the company. And I believe that has been interesting for a lot of shareholders as well. The new area as well.
So has there been any movements in the market that you have noticed recently?
How do you mean?
Eric, any changes recently? How people, the world's look at your portfolio?
A very great question. I would say that if you look at how I would say that a common investor perceive Crunchfish, potentially I'd say that you see them lean a little bit more towards digital cash because you see more discussions on the topic. That would be something that I've observed. It's not so that would be one trend. If something, I would say that it's that the shareholders are more looking at the digital cash and the gesture at the moment. That would be an observation from me. Joachim, would you agree on that?
If you look at share price movements, I think in 2019 we released that we got a relationship with Swish. A lot of Swedish people know Swish, and then the share price went a bit ballistic. I think it went up 10 times very, very quickly, but then sort of came down a bit again. That was with Blippits. Then I think the next big boom was when we announced that we're going to India and actually starting to talk about digital cash, offline payments. Then we got a next boom, but then things sort of started to fizzle out again. So I think a lot of the big sort of increases in our share price has been driven by digital cash events. So and that has been a sort of like a 10 times improvement or going up with the stock exchange. And I'm actually quite sorry for that it becomes so volatile, because I you know, at the top, people then if you are you could be unfortunate to invest at the wrong time, and when it then goes down again, which it has done a few times, then there are some people who get burned, and I always feel a bit sorry for that volatility, because we are still a high risk company. I think we have to, as Eric said, we have to realize that the potential reward is humongous, but we are I'm a little bit a fan of the idea that we go from 0 to 1. That means that we go from not having anything to the first really big sale. That's sort of one sort of phase in the company's life, and we are in that phase. It's like a pharmaceutical company developing a drug. You are developing that for many years, and then when it hits the market and it's a success, then it's all about 1 to N to scale that, to go for scalability, and that's another phase. We are still 0 to 1, but we are approaching 1 rapidly at the moment.
So how close is the breakthrough?
Well, someone asked me that. Someone asked me that at the, I think, Discord forum, and is it 0.7, 0.8, 0.9? And I said, so what is the scale? So what does 0.8 mean? And he said, well, 0.8 means that you are very close to signing agreements and you are in really final stage. And I say, well, then we're definitely at 0.8. We are late stage. And I've said that many times, and things are going well. And I think what's interesting right now is that we are not just securing now the first sale for big sort of banks and big sort of payment services, and particularly in India, which are huge, the leading market in the world for sure when it comes to digital payments at the moment. But we're also in the background securing relationships with the companies who sell into banks, who sell into payment services, because that's what we're working with as well. So when we get success, I'm working to secure scalability. Because we are very small in Crunchfish, it's just a handful of people, in our marketing and sales team. That's all, and we can't go to the whole world. There are probably 50,000 banks in the world. We won't reach them. But if we can get big partners who already have a global reach, global presence, and they could complement their product offering with, say, digital cash, things can go really, really quickly, and then it becomes extremely interesting. So I'm working to try to secure that level of partnership that will happen when we have got from 0 to 1 with a big payment service or a big bank. Then I think we will scale from there.
Yeah, and what about time perspectives, Björn? What can you say about the investors' time perspective? How do they differ a lot, or do they mostly have the same time perspective when it comes to being interested in companies like Crunchfish?
You mean high growth companies with high risk?
Yeah, I mean, how eager are they?
I guess that all is waiting for some kind of confirmation that this is the real deal.
Yeah, and do you have a time perspective? We need that confirmation. Well, before...
No, I can't say anything about that. No.
I tend to agree with Björn on this. You can't be generalizing, because all individuals have different investment horizons, etc. But of course, you're always eager to see results when you invest in a company. That's I think all can relate to that. That when you invest in a company, you want to see profit. And,
okay, so let's go to the word, the breakthrough once again. What do you think needs to happen for you to consider that has come, that moment? Is it?
Well, I would say what would be needed to be seen as a breakthrough from a shareholder perspective would be an agreement of such for the digital cash business. That would be what I think very many people are. Many shareholders and other stakeholders are waiting for. That would be the breakthrough. I think, Joachim, you can agree on that.
Yeah, I think people are, as Björn said as well, just to show that it's the real deal, because you get basically then market confirmation that everybody knows. I've been speaking about this. I really seriously believed in Blipit for that in 2019. I believed in offline payments and our digital cash product for, say, in 2020, we talked about that. And now I talk about the platform. But it's not until really you get market confirmation, a real deal, an agreement, then I think it becomes something different. But I said we're 0.8, Johan, at least. That's sort of my. We are approaching 1.0, which is
and since I realized early on that well, you need to know that, well, you're a Swedish company, you're situated in southern part of Sweden, but when it comes to where the things are happening, it's about Asia, Southeast Asia, and India, and just what is it like to do business in India, and how does culture differ in negotiations?
I worked actually most of my career before I came to Crunchfish in Southeast Asia. I was the regional director for Ericsson, handling East Asia for business comm in Ericsson. I had anything from China down to Indonesia. So I've grown up in that culture. I never actually made it to India during that time because I wasn't responsible for India, but I had China down to Indonesia. And I just love the vibrancy of that whole region, and how they really want to, they leapfrog things. They don't have to go through all our development cycle. They will go to the latest things and skipping a few steps here. And they are really, really fast. And I love that. I love the fast pace there, and negotiate with them. Well, it's I think it's okay. They're just like, there's differences here in Nordics as well. The Swedes are not the same as the Danes, as we say here. We live at the border here between Denmark and Sweden. It's different cultures. There are different cultures in Southeast Asia. They're not the same.
No, I live it.
They're very different, but they are. They all want to do business. They want to move forward. If you have a good proposition and they understand it, and they're very happy to work, and they understand fully that that you do business with them in a proper way.
Björn, Eric, anything you want to add on this?
No, I'm not directly involved in negotiations, so I really can't comment on cultural differences. That's
so what about but you're listed in Sweden?
Yes.
The company is, yeah. So what about that? Is it logical to be listed in Sweden and mainly have largely the big business in Asia, Southeast Asia, and India? Any problems that comes from that?
No, I see no problems whatsoever. Crunchfish is a Swedish company, and therefore it's pretty logical to be listed on the stock exchange in Stockholm.
Okay, great. Just asking. Okay.
I can say you on that. It's just being listed helps a lot doing business because we are a small company. Come on, an Indian small company is 25,000 people. When we say we are about 25, they sort of almost that's sort of they think it's sort of like a joke. But it's the fact that we are listed is sort of very important, because being listed means a level of that you have to follow the rules, you're regulated, all these things that Eric says, they know that. So the fact that we are listed, we get away with being small because they know that you can't be listed in 5 years as we've had, or 5 or more than we're into our 6th year now. That doesn't work if you're not behaving. So that gives a lot of credibility being that.
So the Mr. Police Officer Björn, when it comes to Crunchfish and all the business and the big interest from Asia and India, where are the situations you are most curious about, watching? What are the situations when you are needed?
When I'm in the role as certified advisor, we do review all press releases that the company is sending out, as well as all the financial reports. But other than that, me and Joachim doesn't have communication on a regular basis every day. But sometimes we discuss when it comes to problems with what the information should be sent out, etc. We can speak about that.
Do you have different?
Björn and I, we talk about hockey because Björn is an old hockey player in Malmö.
Okay.
So we talk hockey, Björn and I.
But if I may fleek in, you can put it this way, but the certified advisor, they monitor Crunchfish, but of course the certified advisor is also an advisor to Crunchfish, where if there is information that may be sensitive, but we need a second opinion upon whether it's considered insider information or not, you could always lift the phone and talk and ask Björn about his opinion. They are in no way decisive upon whether it is, but you always have the opportunity to pick up the phone and ask for a second opinion to listen into his thoughts. And that's something I think is really something you appreciate as a listed company.
Björn, when you hear about the press release, this is aimed for the Swedish market. This is aimed for the southeastern market or global perspective. Do you have different ways of attacking that kind of press releases?
No, but say that Crunchy would strike a deal with a big player, then we would want to see some kind of deal value, perhaps some details about the agreement, the counterpart, of course. So there is some points that needs to be included in a press release with inside information.
So when it comes to value, Crunchfish, valuation, is that important just for you as a company or just for the owners? Could I ask that? Is that a question?
I think the valuation of a company is always up to the market to decide upon. We can always have our own opinions about the valuation of a company, but at the end of the day, being a listed company, it's the market that values the company.
Joachim, anything?
It's similar, Johan, to as having a brand. You don't own your brand. The brand is owned by sort of the market. They put value on what your brand stands for, and I think it's very similar to what is your share price. You don't set it at all yourself. It's all about supply and demand of shares. If a lot of people want to buy and not too many want to sell, it goes up, and vice versa. That's how it is.
Yeah, and this might be a silly question, but how can a good valuation help the company?
Well, for instance, if you have a high valuation, it's easier to acquire capital, for instance. That would be, for instance, one easy answer to that. And Joachim, I think you have a fair opinion on this, so I'll leave the rest of it to you.
Yeah, you're right, Eric. That's one thing. I think we're pretty good with capital, actually, as we will get additional sort of capital by end of 2022. That's actually going to be the focus of the next Crunchfish broader webinar. We're going to talk about shares and warrants, because there is a warrant issue which is going to be converted in December 2022, end of this year, which will provide us with potentially another 64 million. That's sort of what it could be, and that will cover a lot of costs for us for years to come. So I think we're very good with capital, but it could also be, Johan, if you have a good share price, you can acquire companies. That's one thing you can do, and you have a market value, and then you could acquire company to and paying with a bit with your own stock. That could be one thing you do, and the more you're valued, the more currency you have, really. So that could be one example.
Is that a strategy of yours?
No, not really. We don't focus on that. But you're asking for examples, and I was trying to help you, Johan.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, we're moving into the last 11 minutes. Actually, there's no questions in the chat forum, so I will continue with my last ones. When it comes to what are the main reasons to invest in Crunchfish? What do you say? Well, give your best shot.
Yeah, I had the reasons to invest in the end of my presentation. I think they're still valid. I think that our two technology platforms are extremely solid with great flexibility and scalability, and we are present both in the gesture interaction market and in the digital payments segment. We are having a first mover advantage with our products, and I think that the reward for investing in Crunchfish is extremely high. But as always, there is also risk, and I think you also, I think, is finally what I want to pinpoint when I look at a lot of growth companies, what I look at is the management and their track record, because I think that the management is one of the things you're very much investing in when you're investing in growth opportunities. And in Crunchfish, you have a solid track record in management, which is second to none, I'd say, in many areas.
Björn, do you want to join in with this?
As a police officer,
you shouldn't.
I shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. Okay, let's go to Joachim. What could a investor expect from your company, would you say?
Well, it is. I think Crunchfish should be valued for its potential, the scalability. I am, 4 weeks ago when you came in, Johan, as just jumping into the webinar, we had Alf Ripple. I think it's a very important webinar where he explains quite clearly. It's not about, if we have 1 million in cost or 7 million in profit or 9 million in loss right now. It's almost completely irrelevant, because you really have to look at the potential, the scale. Again, I like to compare it almost like a pharmaceutical company, that let's use that again. If the shit hits the fan, Johan, then the potential is there. And then Alf does his best to try to calculate. And he says hello. He's skiing right now, Alf, during this sort of ski week. But he will come back and he will actually give us an updated analysis, and that will be, I don't know how long he will need for it, but he will work it through, because there are 2 revenue streams that is not part of his analysis. On the gesture side, it is the whole automotive section. That's not part of the of his analysis, and that I think he needs to put in. And then it is the digital cash online, which is I think the first product for anyone to have digital cash online. And then as an addition, there's digital cash offline as well. And he's missing the complete digital cash online business as well. So he will have to rework his model in the commission analysis. And I hope that he will be able to release that in a few weeks. And I think he has a good perspective on that's how you have to look at Crunchfish. But as Eric said, we are approaching 1, but we're not there yet. So we are the revenue's not there yet. So you have to have a little bit. You can't be narvklen. Crunchfish is risky stuff, but then potential is huge. Yes, it is.
Okay, I realized I have one final question, and it's since you're a certified advisor, Björn. What do you advise me to ask as a final question? Now, this is important, Mr. Police Officer. So
I guess where is Crunchfish at the end of 2022, perhaps?
Okay, directly from the advisor. Okay, where are you at the end of this year? Joachim.
Yeah, I think we have reached 1. As I said, we're not at 0.8, so we have reached 1, and we have a few also global companies that have fantastic reach into the market that could scale us very quickly. I think we have all that set up. And
Eric, do you agree?
Well, being in investor relations, I would say that's a forward-looking question. I don't make forecasts. But that being said, I agree with you, Joachim, that we have great things ahead of us, and I will follow closely. So being transparent towards shareholders, I think you could say I've been employed by a consultancy firm called Shark Communication, and I brought a friend in the call because I got my great opportunity from a customer of mine called Karna Group on the stock exchange, Nasdaq Stockholm.
Yeah,
I will hand over the baton to Frederick.
No, that's the police officer. He will do that. But just Eric, so this was a smooth move into the last bit here. So just being clear, you are quitting at the Crunchfish. This is your final month. Because
exactly. I've been working as a consultant for Crunchfish, so I will be handing over the baton to another consultant from Shark Communication in a few weeks from now. Yes.
Yeah. So any flowers, Joachim? Any words you want to say to Eric?
There will be cake. That's sort of how I. This is no, but seriously, this is part of the caring part.
Yeah.
I actually do that. That when people are leaving, I like to give cake because, you know, Eric came to me and said that he has two big accounts at Eric. He has Crunchfish and he has Carnov Group. And he said that they've given me an offer I can't refuse. They want me to step up to be fully employed by them. And I said, well, then we have to give you a cake. Not because I would love to keep Eric's, but we have to celebrate for Eric that he found something better than working with Crunchfish, which is just unbelievable. So so it's worth the cake for Eric's sake. So there is a cake coming for Eric. So that's
So a cake for Eric, but also I believe Frederick, you can have a small piece of the cake as well. Frederick, welcome. Shark Communications, I can read here. Tell us who's Frederick Johansson.
Thank you, Johan. My name is Frederick Johansson, and I will, in connection with Eric's new path, I will take part of the investor relations at Crunchfish together with Joachim to ensure good communications going forward. My background is in stock market communication and at a corporate finance company where I worked with advisory and investor relations. So I look forward to joining the team and go from 0.8 to 1.0.
And you are the 0.2 then, you will add on.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the difference.
Feel the pressure, feel the pressure. Yeah. Okay, then you'll get some cake, I believe. Okay, so and I heard that you will focus on the marketing communications, is that right?
Yeah, so I will continue the great work that has been done in the company in terms of marketing communication. And as you know, as we heard today, it's quite a broad topic, but the main part is to ensure that the company's information is communicated in a correct and accessible way to the market.
Yeah, and as you said, it's a big suit, and I believe Joachim, he will grow into this. You will help him, I believe. Do you take any part?
Yeah, the plan is, you know, Eric, he's also working at the same company, Shark Communications, but Eric was with us before he was employed by Eric, and I was very happy when Eric taking over after Ulf, who also got a cake and moved on. You know, these IR people.
Cake, that's another C, I would say.
Yeah, I know the cake thing. Yeah, no, but it will take some time for Frederick to really be to do some of that interaction, some of the things that is sort of extra. So I'll step in now as a temporary IR manager. I'll take that on as one of my roles, but we'll have Frederick to do a lot of the tasks that needs to be done as well. I can't handle, say, Cision, which is one of our tools that makes sure that the markets are getting the information at the same time. That's something that I'm very happy that that Frederick will help us with, and so a little bit of that. But then again, we'll see. We'll start with that, and but for now, I'll take over as a temporary IR manager, but having great support then from Frederick, who is coming in. And I want to say officially that Eric, you've been great. Thanks so much for all your work in this second round. You always welcome back a third one when you get tired of this Carnov Group, and we'll have another cake when you're coming back again, Eric. You know that.
And let's put it this way: it's not because I lose the chess games that I'm moving on.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
Yeah, talk to the therapist about that. So we have to end on this. Thank you so much for participating, Eric, Björn, Frederick. Thanks to all of you, and I will give to you, Joachim. Just tell us some short words about the next month. We're heading into March, and there's four sessions.
Johan, you have to come to our office because we're going to do a new trailer on this.
Yes, but I will. Tuesday.
And there's a surprise waiting for you, Johan. You don't know what it is, but
cake.
Well, it could be cake. I'm not telling you.
Okay.
But we run on these webinars in a 4 webinar cycle. Every second one is digital cash. The next one will be digital cash messages, sort of a little bit the secret sauce of what makes our payment solution very, very unique. This is almost like payments meets messaging. That's what is actually have enormous scalability, and I'm going to talk about that. It's me presenting next week. Joachim will be back talking about the use cases for gesture interaction. I'm sure you will hear about automotive. I'm sure you will hear about AR, VR, and maybe a little bit on public screens as well. Then we will have another partner. I think it went really well last week when we had Raymond Lee from Viki, and now it's going to be ToneTag. ToneTag has been voted as one of the best fintech startup in India, and they're working with us with some really cool use cases here. And they are professionals in doing proximity interaction using ultrasound, just like we use BLE. They are really doing it, but with ultrasound. And we'll talk about that. It's going to be Vivek Singh from ToneTag coming. He's the founder, one of the co-founder, and as well as the CTO or innovation manager. And then we will be back, as I said, to a broader Crunchfish focus. And I'll talk about shares and warrants, which I think is an interesting topic, just to understand a little bit our equity structure. That's going to be but we're going to do that as a trailer, Johan, if you just on Tuesday are coming in.
Tuesday, yeah. And if you a newcomer and you haven't seen the earlier sessions, they're all at the website, aren't they, Joachim?
Yeah, crunchfish.com/webinars. And we're going to put out this one as well. We proud ourselves trying to make it by 12 noon, same day. They will all be there. So we'll have a press release by 12 noon today.
Okay, great. So thanks again, everyone, for participating. And if you've been watching, thanks so much. Hope to see you next Friday then. And until then, take care and be kind to each other.